Through the prayers of the Holy Father, so Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. Good evening. This is Father Joseph Swaden. As always, this is what we do is our live Q&A. For those who are not familiar, basically, I am worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998 and the founder of Anatha for Orthodox and Ecumenical News since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space on Facebook since 2016, on YouTube since 2018, and if you like what we do here, please like and subscribe. For all those in the chats, as you know, today is the live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live just by clicking on the link at the top of the chat, as well as member-requested video reviews. So let's get started, and if you want to ask a question or make a comment, just click the link at the top of the chat, and I'll be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. And if you want your question or comment without super chatting, I'll answer it, but you might miss it if I don't put it up. So let's get started. First off, to everyone for asking for a blessing that I've seen here. May God bless you, in the name of the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Let's continue on, and we are going to get started. Got an interesting show for us today in a number of different ways. So let's deal with that. So thank you, your blessing, Zlote, Saba, or the Pirate, John MC, your member. Members do get their comments on this the show. With the Pirate, bless you. Okay, good evening. Bless you. And let's continue on. And good evening, everyone. And let's see here. Okay. All righty. So let's get started. I want to answer a quick question that popped up. Sunrise, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Keep up the good work, Father. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And that's really what keeps the lights on. So let's see here. And Higher Deacon Pacomius, Father Antonius, Taylor Harden. Saba, it does not appear he's going through Columbus. Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, one day, God willing. Okay. Let's see. How would you describe your 2024? I would say that basically I would describe it as one where we have been growing and working on building our resources and building a case for true Orthodoxy in general. I think we've seen some growth and a lot of interest throughout the country and even internationally, and I think we have to keep that going. So that's how I would describe it. I would describe it as a long slog with a lot of nervous points. God willing, it will be less nervous with a lot more work done next year. We were asked earlier by True Orthodox Resources in Australia, what is my feeling on the Dead Sea Scrolls? I don't think that they're necessarily positive or negative. They're good in the sense that they contain a lot of historical value. They validate the biblical canon to some degree, including even some of the texts that we find in the Septuagint. I think that, the Essenic kind of code thing was kind of a unique thing. It's not totally, so there's some value to it, but it's not all valuable. I don't take it as like some sort of guide of any sort. That's what the church is for, both in the Old Testament and New Testament. Let's see here. Father Boniface, Benedicite, greetings. And so I answered those two questions. Now, I know a few of you are probably here because of the logo we used as the title. Because let's see if I can address it directly. Basically, on Friday, this group, let me see here, this a group on Facebook referred to as Genuine Orthodoxy made a further claim that Metropolitan of Logius of Milan of blessed memory was a Freemason. In this, he was referring to somebody else from his synod known as Orthodox Hit. I guess these are folks from the Macarians, and they put a bunch of things together. And I had, if anyone remembers, last Sunday, I had answered most of this stuff. I had answered about the fake certificate. I pointed out that this is actually a knightly honor. That's just him in a chair. I'd never seen this or this. And these were put out by Orthodox Hit in July of 2023. Apparently, I began to look at these more carefully because I realized I didn't cover these, and actually I had never seen them. So what ended up happening was I tried my best, and I went through the links, and to understand what exactly is on the screen. Basically, this, if you look at it close up, and you have to kind of zoom in on it quite a bit, you'll notice that it has some Italian, it says, the Chamber of Deputies, the Senate of the Republic, in Italian, legislature, disegni legislazioni documenti. What this is this is part of a large document, and I'm going to share that, volume 6 of an investigation that the Italian Senate had done on. It started as an overarching investigation on the mafia in 1987, and then it went further into investigations of the Freemasons. So I'm going to share this. The link he put, though, actually does go to the Italian Senate and their investigation. And I'm going to just quickly see if I can get this there. I'm really not a fan of this, but I don't have much of a choice. I have to be honest. So you'll see it says it's the Commission for the Parliamentary Inquest into Masonic Lodges, Part 2. Okay, let me see here. George Nyarkos, first off, thank you for your donation. That helps the channel. Really appreciate it. Hello, Father. Is there a way of getting in touch with you for a small conversation? I have a Kiprianite view right now, which sounds wrong. Oh, well, it is our live Q&A show. So, I mean, do you want to speak to me privately? If so, it's going to have to be after the show. I can give you a way to reach out. I can give you a few ways to reach out to me. Or if you wanted to talk about it now, you can. So it's kind of, it's up to you. But you could also pop on the stream. But let me take a look here. And so thank you again for your support. Reconquista says, Father, I have been going to Greece in July. Can you reconcile some monasteries? Also, pray for me I don't get a female pilot. I have not been to any monasteries in Greece, except for Metropolitan Angeloses, and well, now it's Metropolitan Cherubims. I don't have any recommendations because I don't know of any personally. And Sava, I've been meaning to reach out. Have been very busy, not an excuse, of course. All right, so I understand. So this is a 1,240-page document. It is volume 7. This is the investigation into Propaganda Due that they were talking about, that the forged documents mention. However, it's not all about Propaganda Due. It's actually an investigation on all the Masonic lodges in Italy. And so, and it's a multi-year investigation. What they did find, and what this fellow here, this Orthodox hit, is referring to, are pages. Give me 1 second. I'll put them up on the screen because I believe in full disclosure. Let me see here. I think that's right before it. So this is what was in the. This is what was in the this what's the word? This post. This is I've never seen it. I'd never seen it until that post. And it would appear that it is dated from 1979. So this would be 8 years before the investigation, which tells you how long this has been going on. It is stamped with the Chamber of Deputies stamp, I guess, as a legitimate letter. It is a letter from Father Evlogius of the Moscow Patriarchate. He was, before he had ever joined the True Orthodox Church of Greece, he was a priest of the Moscow Patriarchate. And apparently he had been, let me see here, apparently he had been, I guess, involved with them since around, it looks like 1976 or so, up until 1979, because this is the last document you can find that has him. There is another document where he is in attendance at a Masonic function. However, it is in 1978. let me see here if I can find it. Yeah, this is 1976 actually, and you can see that he was listed as a speaker. So he's not a nobody there. Apparently, the previous document says that he was a seventh. He was in the seventh degree, which, as I've learned, does not mean all that much among the Masons. But those are exactly all of the references to Metropolitan of Logios, then Father of Logios of the Moscow Patriarchate, in the 1970s, from 1976 to 1979. We know that in 1980 or 1981, he was, he left the Moscow Patriarchate. He joined the True Orthodox of Greece. Let me see if okay, wait, hold on. Thank you very much. Thank you, Father Harry Deacon, for assisting with a donation of $20. I know this has been answered, Father bless. God bless you. I know this has been answered a million times, so please forgive me, but World Orthodox have said the new calendar is fine since it doesn't change the Paschalion and not just the Manan. No, most of the condemnations that you find historically will say the calendar, comma, the Paschalion, and some will say the calendar by itself. So that's, they can say that changing the Paschalion to the old Paschalion, and that's really what they're doing. Is the one thing you have to remember is they provide a bait and switch. The revised Julian calendar, its Pascha is the Western Pascha. What they're actually doing is using two calendars and calling them the revised Julian calendar, when that's not the case. It's the revised Julian calendar for the Manan, and then they're using the church calendar for the Paschalion. But they're using two different calendars. There's no way to square both those calendars together, so they're using two at once. So that's something that you want to definitely, when you're dealing with World Orthodox and your new calendars, you want to address that correctly, because there's a reason that Finland and Estonia are on the Gregorian Pascha. It is because when the original change was made, their populations were so small there was no protest. And so they followed the 1923 Robber Synod to the letter. After the angry and somewhat violent response around the world, they came up with this: let's add the Julian Paschalion. Let me see here. Let me see. So that's what I would suggest to you, Father Pachomius. That's the easiest way to deal with it. When they say, oh, the new calendar didn't change the Paschalion, that is incorrect. The new calendar did. They added an additional calendar is what actually happened. So thank you so much for your support of the channel. Black Ortho Acolyte says, would you be willing to read and give your take on Gregory DeCopolite's YouTube community posts about Rokor Saints supporting resistance from within? First off, thank you for your support of the channel. I really do appreciate it. And so, I'll take a look at it. I'm going to try to do that real quick after I get this done. And then we'll do that. Let's see here. I did just in Finland and Estonia, and we'll see. No problem with that. But I will definitely take a look at the comment as soon as I'm done with this. So this is one of about, I want to say 11 or 12 such volumes. And Metropolitan of Logios, then Father of Logios of the Moscow Patriarchate, was not in any of them. But now that I've shared that, I do want to share this because it is important. There's a writer, Father Andrew Phillips, and Father Andrew Phillips was in Europe in the he's a priest in England. He was recently removed from the Patriarchate. Let me just see here if I can switch over to his page. Give me a second. But he had written extensively on this issue. Let me see here. Hold on. Something is okay. I appear to be frozen for some reason. Hold on. Okay, I appear to have been frozen out for some reason. I do apologize. My system is catching up with me. So I'm going to share screen real quick. But this was an article by Father Andrew Phillips written a few years back talking about the influence of Freemasonry. And one of the things he mentioned is that the Freemasons of Constantinople found easy prey in Paris among Masonic Russian aristocrats and wealthier Migras who emigrated there after 1917. And so basically, there were a lot of Freemasons in France. And he puts in a footnote where he notes that in 1985 he became a deacon, was invited by an archbishop in Paris to become a Mason so that I could be ordained to the priesthood. Naturally, I refused and thus remained a deacon for 7 years. In another article, I'm pretty sure he ends up joining the Row Corps. He said, however, when I asked the archbishop whether he was a Mason himself, he denied it. I believe him, but it made little difference since he was only told whatever he was told by his superiors who were Masons. One thing that this will point out, and one thing I do want to point out, is that a lot of clergy of the World Orthodox in hold on. Oh, I see that Marshall's here. Unseen Warfare. So let me see here.
How you doing, Father?
How's it going? God bless you.
Amen.
And so basically, what we find is that a lot of European priests at the time, West European priests, were Freemasons. And this is problematic, but it does lend credence to the fact that perhaps the former father of Logios was just following orders and may have been horrified by what he saw, but certainly he was no longer involved with it, as far as I'm concerned, from 1979 onward and when he joined the True Orthodox. People who are trying to say that the other documents prove he was really a Mason, they don't. They're forgeries, and I'm going to take this part. I will be adding it to the other part to make a comprehensive case as to why, well, Metropolitan of Logios, as Metropolitan of Logios, was never a Mason. Let me see here. Atomic Lead, happy final stream of the year. So that's good. And let's see. Yep. And Sunrise says, due to new abominations created by papists in regard to the question changing of our Pascha and calendar. You see the Sigillion of 1756. They always say it together. I know you didn't pay for it, but it was useful, so I'm putting it up free. I don't know if you saw my question with your previous stream. The question was why are some churches called genuine Orthodox? Is it to distinguish yourselves? No, it's the more proper reason is legal. It's because in many cases you couldn't register as just the Orthodox Church of Greece or the Orthodox Church of Russia. Oftentimes there was a national church issue with that. So they would register as genuine to distinguish themselves in a way that is traditional because that terminology has been used throughout church history. But if you ask your average true Orthodox parish what the parish name is, they're just going to say it's St. Mark's Orthodox Church. They're not going to distinguish it there. So most of the reasoning is legal. Let me see. And let's see. HC asks, can you give me a brief rundown of Nicaea 2025? What do you believe will happen? How will people react? I've been one of the people who's been saying very little is going to happen. George, you mentioned that you might want to have an email. So do I have an email? The easiest way to reach me is from NFTU. So editor@nftu.net, or just go to NFTU and use the contact form. So yeah, HC, I don't believe that there is going to be a brief rundown of Nicaea 2025. All right, so I think that's basically, let me see here. Father bless, I've had a great conversation with a GOCK priest. I'll be going to Okinawa for 3 years, as we previously talked about. There's only one parish in all of Okinawa, and it's a new calendar. He told me I can be a catechumen GOCK for 3 years. When my orders are up and I'm back in the States, can I get a True Orthodox baptism? Only issue is the idea of going 3 years without any liturgy. I'm torn as a World Orthodox catechism because I see the truth but keep clinging on to World Orthodox, especially since my wife is just starting to warm up to it. Ultimately, Seraphim, what people have to do when they are separated from World Orthodoxy, they're separated from a local parish and they're under the guidance of a priest, is they have to say Typica. You can gather people with you to say Typica. You can tell people who are interested in True Orthodoxy to come to Typica. You have to learn Typica on Sundays, and you have to do your basic prayers throughout the week. I think the way if you're describing it to me, the same way you're describing it to the priest, I can see why he's a little nervous. Because on the one hand, you're saying that there's only one church. You could pray the typical with your wife, Seraphim, but you're saying there's only one church, and it's World Orthodox. First off, for us, from a practical standpoint, that wouldn't be helping you in terms of the mysteries. What it would help to do is possibly confuse you. And what I mean by that is that if you go continually thinking, well, they have the church there, instead of doing the typica and building a home chapel by yourself, then he baptizes you. It's on his head if you succumb to temptation and end up going to the World Orthodox. So you don't want to do that. Okay. Sorry about that, Yuki. So that's the problem that you have with that. I would say praying the typical with your wife is the best option. But if you can demonstrate I guess you could say, what I would say is if you can demonstrate the solidity to explain to the priest that you have no intention of going to that World Orthodox Church, but that you'd still like to be in the communion with the church, he may change his mind and may discuss possibly baptizing you beforehand. But you can't go to that World Orthodox Church. So that's the thing. The DTC is correct. No shame in saying typica. Let me see here. And so let's see. World Orthodoxy is a paper straw they give you with your plastic cup and lid. Oh, don't get me started on paper straws. I am so glad that fad is dying. John MT, or one of our members, you can always get your comment up if you're a member as well. Old timers in our OCA parish never felt comfortable mixing new style calendar with Orthodox Episcopalian. They don't mix. Several times OCA made major errors printing this hybrid. I remember it looks awful. And they try to pretend it's one calendar. It's two. It's just a mess. Yeah, Japan. Let's see here. Then let's see here. Okay. This is not an OCA one. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I guess the guys are talking to him. But he's talking to a priest, so ultimately he needs to work that out with him. Reading St. Seraphim on the Old Calendar's book as we speak. A great read, especially since he's soon to be my namesake. Well, that's great. Well, many years to you. Again, this is the live Q&A show, so you can join the chat with a super chat. You can also come on the show with clicking the link on the top of the chat. And let me see if I can find what Black Orthodox is talking about with Gregory DeCapolite's community chat tab, and we'll go over to that because I think we've covered I think we've killed this horse. So discussing the Evlogius thing. So let's see here.
Well, I was going to say this is that I kind of posted a rebuttal on my channel on the community guidelines, on the community part of it, at least.
Okay.
So there's two posts that I made. So one's on the anathema, and then one's on, it's a catacomb saint who's talking about breaking communion with a patriarch.
Okay. Oh, and I saw this. You know what's really? Can I tell you what's really cheeky about this? This particular thing that he put up. I'm just going to share it, and then I'm going to put up yours. You know what they're quoting here when they say, "Well, Saint Feret said this before the 1983 anathemas," which we respond, "This anathema anathematized no one." Now, here's where that's funny. First off, when this statement by Metropolitan Vitali was written, obviously St. Feret had already passed. Second off, the real cheekiness and almost near rudeness of it is that this particular letter that they're quoting from Metropolitan Vitali, the 1986 Christmas epistle, was what caused the Hocknessism. Like, it's literally what caused a bunch of people to break off of Rocor. So for them to claim that this was St. Filaret's teaching is deceptive. It's absolutely false. But let me put up what you put up here on Unseen Warfare. And so we're going to go with that. Give me 1 second. Okay. Trying to find you because a lot of people like
there.
You. Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right. So is this St. Victor or the 1983 anathema against ecumenism?
So both of them kind of deal with the post, and then on the anathema, I believe the comments has a letter from Father Seraphim where I've replied, where he says that they broke communion with Constantinople. So everything probably pretty much that he claims in his post is kind of dealt with those two posts on my community thing.
Oh, okay. Hold on. All right, so yeah, it's I would recommend going to Unseen Warfare's channel because he has a good number of replies concerning what Saint Feret actually thought when it came to the anathema, as opposed to people trying to deceptively put words in his mouth, which I think is a shame. If you're wondering, I am throwing toys for my dog. Let me see what. Let's catch up here. Remember that it is a live Q&A show, so you can call in at any time. Let me see here.
What's strange about Vitaly's letter too, his Metropolitan Vitaly's letter, is that he says that, isn't he saying something like, you know, they're going to have to deal with what we did here, kind of?
Yeah.
So,
no,
so how does the anathema not, you know?
It's he basically like reduces it to the World Orthodox need to reflect, and this was kind of the, I guess you could say the, what's the word I'm looking for? That was it was weaker than what the anathema actually meant, and so it had the unfortunate effect of causing a lot of Roquefort parishes to leave.
Wow.
Do you think Pano Costuros asked, do you think the WC mainstream archdioceses will decay over time, or do you see there being a genuine reconciliation? For the most part, unfortunately, I think they're going to just lean further and further into uniatism. I think we're going to see some of that even in 2025. There may be individual dioceses and parishes that do manage to break off. One thing I will say is that from a legal standpoint, at the diocesan level, it's going to be very unlikely that anyone breaks off. These are very, very well defined corporate structures, and it's more likely you will see an individual bishop leave and try to join the True Orthodox on his own than actually take anything with him. Those things, because there's so much legal wrangling that has been done in the 20th century that you won't see a lot of that happening. So for the most part, the institutions will just fall apart now. And unfortunately, we see what happens with that in Roman Catholicism, and we, to some degree, see what happens to it in older Orthodox areas, where you've got empty churches and buildings. They're selling them off to Protestants. Or there's a church not far from us that clearly had an Orthodox dome, and it was sold off to some Assemblies of God group. They're not going to offer it to us. In some cases, True Orthodox have managed to finagle churches back that were originally ours in the U.S., but chances are there's very little chance they have any interest in helping us in any way, shape, or form, even if it benefits them. They'd rather shoot themselves in the foot. Sarah, do you think this is the year the false reunification will happen since the Pascha data lines between the East and West? I think this is the year you're going to start seeing a lot of ecumenists who had already seen the churches united get much louder and enforce their views on people. I don't think there's any need for a real change. They're already commemorating the Pope in Constantinople and vice versa. Keeping the status quo as is, while basically draining the life out of the fighting from within people till they finally just give up and accept that the institution owns them, is the only way that can end. Really, why would they? If their methodology already works, why change it? Sava says there are several anathemas across church history that don't name anyone. Where did you get this idea? You have to name someone in order for an anathema to be valid. That's true. That's true. You can, the condemnation of name worshiping does not directly implicate Bulatovich, but we know who he was talking. We know what they're talking about. Machine Lies. Hey there, welcome. Seraphim Webster says, I've heard an assertion that I mentioned this on the stream, the objection stream, which I did the past week. I purposely didn't address it. I said that needs to be addressed by the true Orthodox Greeks in the church and the people in the GOC Kalinikos. I do remember there were people in the chat that were asking who was the priest or who was the person or what OCA parish. There's not enough information for anyone to do anything with that, Seraphim. We would like to solve, if that's a real problem, and I would say that many people in the GOCK would see that as a real problem, you need more information to solve it. And I've heard many people go, I've heard this happen, but we don't want to get anyone in trouble. Well, that's not how the church works. If you know it's wrong and somebody doesn't want to get someone in trouble, then they want to make things worse. Do I think Yevgeny Rodionov is a martyr? I assume that's the Russian kid who was killed by the Muslims for his faith. I mean, he's a martyr for the MP. We obviously don't recognize him, but did he know any better? Will he be remembered later in 100 years when this is all sorted out? I don't know. I just don't know. I know he probably didn't have much knowledge of this stuff. I think he was like 19 and he was in the army, so I don't know. Sarah from Western, Salva says, I highly doubt that. I've met Metropolitan Demetrius and cannot believe he would allow that. I don't believe it either, which is why I say you really have to do things. You really have to, if you're going to make that sort of claim, you're going to have to. Hold on. Hey, here, stop that. Play with your toys. Anyway, so yeah, I don't believe it either. Frankly, I think that whoever told you that, they need to, if they're really concerned about it, they need to speak. It has to be addressed in a more clear fashion. Otherwise, I think it's just it sounds like less and less of a real accusation.
Yeah, that's a false narrative for sure. I don't buy it.
Yep, and let me see. OTP says, we have Metropolitan Vitaly's personal correspondence as well. Can't wait to dive into those and continue to debunk the World Orthodox narratives, especially when it comes to Rocco. You're doing a fantastic job of that. He says, Seraphim Metropolitan Demetrius would never allow that. He's told me that as much in person. Seraphim says, Sunrise, I'll be honest, my priest is Father Josiah Trenum, and sometimes I doubt if any of these ecclesiological issues really matter for salvation. Okay, now I'm confused. Are you an active member of World Orthodoxy, or are you trying to actually be received? I mean, it sounds to me like you're an active member in World Orthodoxy, and that's fine. But that's why the priest is hesitant to baptize you or receive you, because it doesn't sound like you don't really need, it doesn't sound like you think you need reception. I'll be emailing you, Father. One last thing, where to get something like the iconography you have in the back. Looks like a tapestry. Very nice. AliExpress. Look up Orthodox icon tapestry, and you'll find them of different sizes. Let's see here. Do the various old counter churches that aren't in communion with each other acknowledge or affirm grace in those churches despite not being in communion? This was one of the hard questions, the one that was asked by Chris Dabrowski that I answered in that stream. It varies, and it's to some degree subjective. If you try to use an objective metric, it doesn't look like many people have a justification for saying any of the others don't have grace. But we're unfortunately subjective people, and subjective people give subjective answers. Reconquista, my only contention is that he was with the MP. Yeah, unfortunately, from a canonical perspective, if he was a heretic and he was a martyr, it's considered suicide, and we don't accept heretical martyrs. Which is why I say, like, in 100 years, if his confession was true, and we don't know that, we don't know what his confession was, and he dies, and we, people start seeing him in dreams and stuff, and he says, I'm still part of the church, don't worry, I'm in heaven. I mean, then we have to start, wondering, but there's certainly no evidence for that now. Martyr means witness, or heretical martyr is a false witness. That's true, but what will the MP look like, if anything at all, in 100 years? We just don't know. It may not even exist. What is true Orthodoxy's theology of marriage and divorce? There's no such thing as a separate Orthodox theology that we have. We just have the Orthodox theology. The question I'm answering is, what is the Orthodox theology of marriage and divorce? Marriage is a mystery. Divorce is a sin. Its acceptance is allowable under certain cases. which is you find in the sayings of Christ, like, except it be for adultery. So, I mean, if you're coming in with the Catholic position and trying to get a different answer, you're not going to. But, it sounds like you're already presupposing the Roman Catholic answer, in which case I'd suggest giving the Orthodox position more study.
Yeah, everything's not set in like black and white little boxes,
Yeah, but there's books on all of this stuff, so highly recommend you read some. Ortho Pirate, if the ecclesiological issues don't matter for salvation, why leave Protestantism at all? Very valid. Sojourning One says, I asked Metropolitan Demetrius about this as well, and he told me he's never done that. Okay. So everyone, have you spoken to him about true Orthodoxy? Or he's an Ortho Pirate, because Protestant and Orthodoxy teach completely different things. Right, but if the possibility of salvation exists in both of them, it really doesn't matter. HC, once again, just because you're misciting the chapter and verse, the point is you're ignoring the meaning where Christ gives an acceptive he gives an acceptive clause in the gospel text. It may not be in Matthew, it might be in Luke. I'd have to I guess I can check. Give me one moment. Okay, let me see here. Yeah. That's Matthew 19:19. So effectively, unless you're willing to look at the text and consider that the acceptive clause does exist, something that Roman Catholics do not accept, then there's nothing really to discuss. Your presuppositions are holding you back from understanding the Orthodox position. Let me see here. To say ecclesiology doesn't matter is to embrace the branch theory, which is rank heresy. Very true, Hardicum Pacomios. Orthodox Traditions publication. Read my article, The Patriarchate of Antioch and Their Eucharist. Yes, that's a good article. You should read it. Sunrise, Father Josiah is traditional in a cultural sense, but he's under the Antiochians, which are extreme ecumenists. As Father Josiah has his grievances against the new calendar, he believes those responsible for instating it will be held accountable and expresses his concern with ecumenist bishops, but he's under ecumenist bishops. He states it's no reason to schism over, once again. So in other words, I would assume he said there's no reason to go into schism over, because for some reason I think the grammatical massacre that has occurred by turning schism into a verb as opposed to a state was started by the Diorites. So I don't know that he'd talk like that, but if he does, that's a shame. He's easily swayed. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to skip the Father Josiah questions that you're asking to Seraphim because they're not questions for the stream. They're, let me see here. Will you answer the Gregory Decapolite video Pseudo Saints? The problem is I'm pretty sure I already answered the Gregory Decapolite video Pseudo Saints. There's nothing. I'm not going to make a defined answer because we've already addressed we even addressed it in the justifications video, the objections video that we had the past week, where we addressed every single one of these people. Subdeacon Victorious has written an article about each one of these people. So Reconquista, eventually it gets to a point where, welcome Father Boniface, Benedicite.
Benedicite.
It gets to a point, Reconquista, where if everyone's giving an answer, asking for an answer becomes not the smartest thing to do. See, Seraphim he speaks of the proper way to conduct ecumenical dialogue. There we go. All right. So to me, there is no proper way to conduct ecumenical dialogue. Because that's like saying, what's the right way to be an Arian or the right way to be Monophysite? Also, something I've experienced confessing to true Orthodox priests is more personal and impactful and accurate. And I had a traditionalist world Orthodox priest. That's something to think about. Sunrise, Father Josiah trying to say that the Patriarch's Notre Dame Cathedral is a witness to the saving work of Jesus in the world that the young Republicans call in New York. Yes, he did, and he sounded like he was also going to run for office soon. Seraphim, I have yet to see why he stated that. I plan to at some point. I found it odd. Sunrise, Father Josiah's YouTube channel also posted a community saying, what branch of Christianity are you? Now, granted, it may have been posted by someone else who works there, but posted still. There's also the thing he went on the Roman Catholic Apologist YouTube channel. And then John MC says, thank you for that information about Father Josiah's statement about Notre Dame. Confirms my suspicion. Black Orthodox, do you think the old calendar is being unable to affirm grace among each other because it's subjective? Do you think grace among the new calendars is subjective too then? Makes discerning which true Orthodox sketchy too. Well, no, I mean, that's my point. I don't think people should be trying to discern which true Orthodox as though we're all bishops here. I don't, personally, I do not think, as I've said before, that the other true Orthodox that I'm not in communion with are without grace. In what I've said is that we have had no communications with them, which is true. So I don't understand why I have to follow this twisted paradigm of playing. There can be only one. If
Sorry. I was just thinking of this as kind of like Saint Feret writing a letter to the Matthewites. He's not, telling them that they're graceless or something. They're just not in communion. Just a thought.
And I think that yeah, it's a very valid thought there, UW, because frankly, there can be only which true Orthodox and there can be only one mentality is precisely what perpetuates the division. It makes things worse. So when somebody tells you to do that, they're part of the problem. So I highly recommend Black Orthodox like that. Maybe not looking at it as to who's most right, but who's closest and who's available to help.
It's too political of an outlook.
Yeah,
sure.
The other issue that Orthodoxy is not Presbyterian, so even if Father Josiah is traditional, the bishop he's under is not. Confirms. Did I miss something here? Thank you for that. Yeah, confirms. Okay, that's fine. Great to see Father Boniface in his new office. Glory to God. Is this your new office, Father?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So that's awesome. I heard the Hermitage is looking better and better.
Yeah.
Glory to God.
Yeah.
All right.
I continue to work on it.
Glory to God. And let's see. Last one posted on my website. Haunted Amami says, greetings, Father. Greetings. And now I know. What is the name of the article? He already put that up. Haunted Amami. I believe it is the... he said it was the Patriarchate of Antioch and their Eucharistic communion with the heretical Monophysites. And Saba says, I tell people all the time when they ask me which true Orthodox synod they should join, the ones that preach Orthodoxy. Very true. Yeah, OTV, there is only one ring to rule them all. That mentality has caused us so many issues. Reader John, there can only be one. She only works in the Highlander. Absolutely right. I completely agree. This God willing, the Highlander mentality will go for good. Completely toxic. Absolutely. It needs to end because if we don't end it, who will? So in any case, yeah. So again, let me see here. I'm going to stop sharing that. This of course is the live Q&A show. So if you can get your questions answered live as well as member requested video reviews. So if you want to jump on the stream or ask a question or make a comment, click the link to the top of the chat. Again, it's and as always, I will note this. Please support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on GiveSendGo, or on Odyssey. Super chats also help, and we put them on the screen. And we really appreciate the help we've received. But we do need your help to keep the lights on, so don't forget us. Father, I see a lot of young men going to the military. I feel like staying in civil society is better for the church and for their spiritual life. That I know confirmed regarding spiritual life. What do you think? I think that there's a good case to be made for staying in civilian life. I know people who were in the military. I was not, so I feel very unqualified to speak on this matter. But I would say that there, to some degree, there is an attraction of getting all of your school expenses paid, and there's a lot. There are advantages to it, staying fit. But yeah, there's also the risk of death, killing. So yeah, so I mean, I get it. People who are young, they know. Let's see. Seraphim says, I'm in the military. So if all godly men remain in civil society, then the military will be comprised solely of ungodly men. It's in a form of self-sacrifice. Father Methodius writes, greetings to all. Father Methodius writing home from the ski lodge. Well, I hope you had a great time there, Father. Glory to God. Orthodox Traditionalist Publication says recruiting numbers are in the trash. Who is going? I'm guessing people who want to change their lives. Saba says, everyone who used to be in the military will tell you it's terrible. I wish I could go back. Reconquista, but when? Lamont, they glorify violence. Saba wishes Father Methodius' blessing. Seraphim says, you can be in a non-combat role. That's also true. And then, let's see. Subdeacon Victoria says, I did 4+1 extra and called it a day, LOL. So I'm going to leave the military questions to military people, since it seems we got some military people in the chat. And let that discussion, because I am not a military guy. I was not enrolled. I'm full civilian, and I feel uncomfortable. Answering things. I will also not probably deal with questions like people going off on I think most people recognize that playing Call of Duty is not the same thing as joining the military.
Well, what did Christ say? He said, there's no greater love than to lay down your life for your brothers, or something like that.
Well, to lay down one's life for his friends. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to that end, there is that kind of, there's that kind of inspiration. But I think a lot of people, especially young people, join the military because of the material benefits that they get. So definitely, it's something to I leave the question open. I know that there are people who are okay with their kids going to the military, some who are not okay with their kids going to the military. I've not really, I don't discuss it. With my own son, I advised it because he had no idea what he was about to sign up for, and thought that you could leave whenever you wanted, and did not understand you were contractually obligated to stay there as long as you signed for. Seraphim says, the military is a mission of spiritual vacuum of young idealistic men who become disillusioned and turn to alcoholism. Why should Orthodox men not join to evangelize the faith of these men? Yeah, but there's an increasing amount of deviancy, and there's an increasing amount of deviancy and perversion going on, even at the lower levels now that they're encouraging. So I'm not sure that I can encourage that. For that reason, it has become a bit woke and gay, and frankly, I'd be very concerned, and I'd hope my child, if they went, has the spiritual discernment to know how to deal with that. Magic Sand asks, why the Mason logo in the stream thumbnail? That was covered in the first 25 minutes of the broadcast. I suggest going backwards. Black Orthodox, like the MP and EP are in communion with each other, but to my knowledge, affirm each other's grace. So I'm not suggesting lack of a communion with each other means only one has grace. Yeah, but that's my point, is that many true Orthodoxy thinks that way as well with all of our churches throughout the world. So I think it's unfair to assume that we're going to see things in a much harsher way when that's not true. Father Antonio says material benefits, they have to pay for everything now, it seems. Uniforms, internet, etc. I had no idea I didn't know they had to pay for internet. Wow, that's awful. Haunted Umami says, Webster, I just scrolled and saw your question about some rumor that Metropolitan Demetrius, which seems ridiculous as to why OCA specifically. Yes. Okay, sorry from Webster. I think a lot of people have called him out on it. I don't think you should make that claim unless you're willing to justify that with like what parish, what priest, etc. Where Sunrise says, where are all these papist debaters? It's been a while since one called in. Well, we will be having a debate in January, and I was hoping that I would have gotten a response from Redeemed Zoomer yet, but I will be doing a debate on the 15th of January with Elijah Yassi on the papacy, and this is kind of the one we were waiting for, like with the previous discussion where we said we were really going to get into it. The next debate, that's this debate. That's coming on the 15th, God willing, assuming everyone is alive and well. Polzajnik says it's greater to be a monk to serve Jesus Christ. I do not deny this. Seraphim says married and monastic life are equal and serve their own unique purpose. Yes and no. I'm very uncomfortable saying married and monastic life are equal when we refer to monasticism as the angelic state. So joining one, thank you so much. $40, keeping the lights on. That's what we need. We really appreciate you, and thank you so much for that. I would say that monasticism is somewhat of a higher calling than the lay state, which is why monastic ranks are usually considered higher than their lay counterparts. A hierodeacon is higher ranked than a deacon. A higher monk is higher ranked than a regular priest. An archimandrite is higher ranked than a proto-priest. So let me see here. Traveling over to Reading, Pennsylvania to confront the CMRI set of a contest. Well, now that I have the gas money, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do that. Jonathan Britt says, Father bless, God bless you. Do you recall a Christ of the Hills monastery in Blanco, Texas from the 90s? Do you know the story of this monastic community and where they all ended up? Yeah, they were originally they originally came from the whom for that eventually became the Christ the Savior Brotherhood, and then went under that, the what's his name, Pangratius Varanus, when Father Herman left. Unfortunately, they were known for abusing novices, and eventually their abbot was sent to jail where he committed suicide. And the rest broke off, and some rejoined the Rocor MP. But that's after, once they rejoined Rocor was when eventually the arrests happened and things like that. Most people, John MC says, most people drafted in the military in my day were so not to be drafted because they saw what a total wreck civilian society was, especially in university campuses. No future. True, but that's equally a valid argument for joining a monastery. That's compromise. I was pretty sure St. Paul didn't call them equal. They are not equal. Greetings from Niagara in Canada, and that's Bishop Lazar. Greetings, your blessing, Master Blagoslovita. Is the Kenyan Orthodoxy channel actually a true Orthodox guy from Kenya? As I understand, yes. Not. It's not impossible to believe. There are a lot of true Orthodox in Kenya and in Uganda.
He's a younger guy.
There's a few.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, there's. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So, I guess Yonzin Warfare knows him. Okay, thank you, Okay. So again, thank you for your support so far. It's really helpful. And so that's something that it helps us keep the lights on. Elevation says bless Sava. Okay. Curious as to what that means. I'm assuming that there's a language joke in here because I'm assuming Sava meant to say Vladika Blagoslovite, and in any case, let's see here. Blessings to Sava. Okay, yeah, I was confused there. It's time to debate Pope Francis. Pope Francis fears me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go there. But I'm not going to go full blood sport and be like Pope Francis is afraid to debate us here on our channel. Because it doesn't work. If you know anything about what we're doing on Twitter, you'll know that I canceled my Twitter membership, my X membership, after it was revealed that, in fact, accounts that have a lot of blocks on them are actually deranked, which means that no matter what I would pay for X, I'm wasting my money. I'm not going to be seen. Tikon says, the military is trash. I want to go back. Seraphim says, haha. Father Josiah versus Pope Francis on the Crucible. Father Joseph versus Pope. Okay. Full blood sport. LOL. Yeah. It's okay, guys. Let me see here. And so people are asking blessings from Bishop Lazar, which makes perfect sense. Seraphim says, the Ugandan parish, it's what St. Seraphim was in correspondence. Was it a true Orthodox parish? He read one of their letters aloud in audio recording one time. I don't know.
No. They were on the new calendar, but he said that they wouldn't have known the difference of really what was going on. So to put them into this kind of like new versus old was kind of redundant or something like that. And
okay.
So it's a very, very strange situation there.
Absolutely. Black Ortho Acolyte asks, do you believe St. Augustine tossed the Filioque? I've seen more of the anti-Western sort say yes, where many of the Western Rite appreciators say he actually didn't. And I, with the Western Rite appreciators, agree. St. Augustine did not really teach the Filioque, and most of the passages where it's supposedly claimed are disputed. It looks like they just want someone to blame, and he's always good because they're all secret Pelagians anyway. Atomic Lead says Patrick truly has a good series on articles on St. Augustine's Triadology. I've seen it. It's not imperfect. Reader John, welcome.
Father bless.
May God bless you. And we've got Well, we got a crowd now. We got 4 people. Again, if anyone wants to join in, we can have up to 10 people in this crazy discussion. Just click the link at the top of the chat. And again, I'm going to just put this out here that if you can support the channel, we at NFT need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nft.net on GiveSendGo or on Odyssey, or just send us a super chat. Let's continue. And then we'll get that on the screen. And let's go back to the comments. Who's going to debate the Phronima priestess? Not me. I don't talk to women much. Like, outside of my wife and my daughters, stepdaughters, and relatives, to a lesser degree, priest wives, I'll say hello and goodbye, stuff like that. But I would never spend 2 hours talking with Jeannie Constantino. I think a woman should do that. I don't think it should be done. There are qualified true Orthodox women who will gladly take Jeannie Constantino out. But I sound kind of goofy. Father Methodius says, "Forgive me, this is a little pedantic, but when we talk about marriage and monasticism, the word equal doesn't seem to fit." You're absolutely right. I think everyone in the chat kind of agrees with that. Marriage and lay marriage and monasticism are simply not the same. One is living in the world and the other is not. Now, granted, one can be saved in the world, but the monastic lives in the world where salvation is ever present, as is the temptations of the fall. But also, Sojourner One says, so also God desires that all men be saved, so suicidal thoughts are always from the evil one. Absolutely right, Sojourner One. Okay, and Father Methodius says, both marriage and monasticism are effective, I'm guessing, means to salvation, but that's, obviously there's a difference, and I think we all acknowledge it. So, again, let's continue on here. Let's see. And let's look for some questions. So, let's see here if there's any. We didn't see any more questions so far. Again, it is a live Q&A session, so you can get your questions answered live, as well as member-requested video reviews. So, get started as always. If you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, click the link at the top of the chat, and I'll be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. Let's see. Black Ortho Acolyte asks, "Who is your favorite Western priesthood saint?" Favorite? That's a tough question. If a part of me wants to say Saint Augustine simply because his work has been so useful in biblical commentary. Saint Gregory the Great is so important in so many different ways, and his comments and letters are so valuable as well. I like a lot of the lives of the Western Saints, even the short lives that were put together by St. Martin of Tours. That's a tough question. I mean, there's a lot of great Western Saints out there. St. Bede the Venerable, the Chronicler of England. I mean, oh boy. There's a lot. There's a lot of good Western Saints. So, yeah, I like them all.
Tours is amazing. He's got a crazy story, you know.
Yeah. Martin of Tours does.
Recommend anybody looking into him if you want to know about the deception of the demons,
Look, Father Boniface, his namesake, St. Boniface, the apostle to the Saxons.
St. Vincent of Lérins.
St. Vincent of Lérins, who wrote the Commonatory. I mean, there's just so many good saints. It's so hard to just leave.
St. John Cassian.
I was about to say St. John Cassian. Yeah, absolutely. And, it's I don't know. There's so many good ones that it's hard for me to say.
St. Benedict.
St. Benedict the Great, the founder of Western monasticism. Savas' favorite Western saint is probably St. Hubertus of Liège. His intercession saved me more than once. I've never heard anyone talk about intercessions with St. Hubert, but there they are. St. Benedict, St. Cuthbert of Linsford, St. Aidan of Linsfern. There's just, we could go on all day just listing off great saints of the West. St. Irenaeus of Lyon, St. Bridget of Kildare. Let's see here. Black Oath and says, "Good suggestions, chat. Thanks." Yeah, there's lots of them. There's quite a few.
There's a short documentary on St. Cuthbert that's amazing. I slipped my mind who put it out, but I really recommend looking for it.
St. Cuthbert is good. Devotion to St. Dimphna. Atomic Lead to St. Isidore and Leander. Absolutely. The four cornerstones of the Spanish Church. Although
St. Columba.
we can't forget St. Vincent of Saragossa then. St. Columba of Iona. Yeah. Kenyan Orthodoxy. Have you heard of the Katina app? It's fantastic. I highly recommend the Katina app if you are okay with your biblical text on a screen. Get the Katina app. It's very useful. Saint Hubert of Liege is a protector against rabies. Okay,
Good to know.
I didn't know we had with that. That's
we do have raccoons out here, so I might need that.
Good to know that. That's useful. Let me see here. Okay, Evangelos sends $5 in. Thank you for your support and for helping out the channel. My best friend recently joined an FSSP seminary. What would be the best way to witness Orthodoxy to a RC based on your experience? Honestly, I would say that, because the FSSP, you're dealing with two levels of papist here. You're not just dealing with a trad papist, you're dealing with a trad papist who's also a heavy papist. So I'm going to be honest. You kind of want to have a well-rounded approach when you're talking to them, explaining that even the liturgy that they're using isn't a complete Western liturgy. That's one thing. You want to point out that historically the papacy is an anomaly historically until Hildebrand of Savannah. If you haven't watched the Who Invented the Roman Catholic Church series on this channel, I highly recommend it. So those because you're dealing with somebody who wants to go into the priesthood. This is somebody who's very indoctrinated already. We lost Father Boniface. Hopefully he comes back. You're talking about somebody who's very heavily indoctrinated already. But if you keep presenting the facts to him, and especially in written correspondence, you can fact check people more easily. It's important to debunk a lot of the things that they're going to say, because a lot of the things that they're going to say are increasingly ridiculous. Okay. It looks like Bishop Lazar is joining us. Welcome, Master Bless.
May the Lord bless.
Hi, Lanika Lazar. How's it going? Wasn't expecting to see you here.
Yes, it took me 10 minutes to get here.
Hopefully Father Boniface comes back. I know he wanted to talk to you about something.
Okay, very good. Okay.
All right, let me take a look here. St. Cuthbert would wait out until you see. Yep, and pray at night close to him. Very good. Slava talks about being bitten by a rabid animal. Never went to the hospital. Okay. Yep, that's true. St. Blaise, he's not really a Western saint. That's true, but his feast is still recognized in the West, though, during Candlemas. Why do Catholics need to conduct councils if the Pope can just do whatever he wants when it comes to dogma? You can present it that way, but I think a Roman Catholic would answer, but we had councils anyway, so he would just ignore your statement. Evangelos, is your user image Lubu? I don't know what that is. Lubu. Thank God for his saints. Black with Blacklet says, man, look at that beard. I think he's very impressed with your beard, Vladika. Kenyan Orthodoxy says, yes, I used the Katina app and I've had it on set. The Eastern Fathers. Okay, Evangelos says, no idea. ST, is there a Lives of Saints book you recommend? I always recommend starting with the prologue from Elkrid. Try to get an earlier edition, not a later one. Father, if you went to a World Orthodox Church, that you would mean that you would also be an ecumenist. Effectively, I'd have to admit that I'm in communion with ecumenists. Saint Dunstan, another great saint. This is Western Saints Day we've got. Let's see. Oh, well, thank you. Okay. So that's good. What brings you on the show, Vladika?
Last week, someone was asking about true Orthodoxy in Canada, and I've been amiss in joining, so I would like to say that we do exist. We are up here in the frozen north, and we are available to any seekers who wish to, inquire about us.
Okay, glory to God. Well, that's very useful, and that's so it's good to know that there are there's representation in Canada, and political laws. Or somebody did mention going to your monastery also in that time period, so I don't know if it was the same person. Black Ortho Acolyte said, did any churches in the West post 1054 reject communion with Rome over the Filioque and retain their orthodoxy? Yes, it caused a civil war, which lasted somewhere between 75 to 50 to 75 years. It's usually called the investiture controversy. I highly recommend watching our series, Who Invented the Roman Catholic Church, which covers all that. It's 6 hours, but it's worth it to get a complete answer. Evangelos Nikotopoulos says, what are the greatest departures, top 3 of the modern Latin Rite based on the historic Orthodox Western Rite? I would say just right off the bat, the biggest evolutions have been decorative, and I'm not just talking about the Filioque way. I'm saying the structure of the church has largely been gutted in the modern Latin Rite. It has very little to reach out to. Oh, Father Boniface is almost back. All right, so that's your first one. It's decorative, and that's gone. The second one is liturgical, and that is, Father Boniface, welcome back. Vladika Lazarus here. I know you wanted to talk to him. I just want to finish answering this question. Actually, I'm sure a lot of people can jump in on this one. And the question is, what are the 3 greatest liturgical departures of the modern Latin Rite based on the historic Orthodox Western Rite? I would say primarily decorative, architecturally. 2, liturgically, with the azymes is a huge one. And 3 would be textual, in the amount of texts that have been removed, the amount of information that's been removed, the addition of the Filioque way, and the addition of heretical stuff. So those are the 3 biggest liturgical departures, in my opinion. I don't know. Anyone else want to throw on what they think is the biggest departure from the modern?
Haven't they departed from the simplicity of the earlier versions and added a lot more pomp to it?
No, they didn't. They did exactly the opposite.
Oh, really?
Let me see. Let's see here. HE says I've come across Protestant. Oh, someone said something?
That's feedback.
Okay, sorry. Coming up, Protestants argue the church went into apostasy right after the death of the apostles. How would you respond to someone making this claim? I would point to them in Acts, where they made bishops and elders for the church, which obviously meant that they thought the church would survive past them. Compared to, how do you recommend a specific study Orthodox Bible? Outside of Katina, and do you recommend a specific Orthodox study Bible? I like Katina a lot, which is what I generally use electronic-wise. The Dormition Skeet New Testament has good footnotes, but it's a terrible translation. The Decay is a great translation, but has terrible footnotes. So I would suggest choosing a base text that you feel comfortable with carefully, and then reading patristic commentaries alongside it.
What about the Hazar translation?
Which one?
Hazar. I call it Hazar, I think.
Hazar? How's it spell it?
Azar, I think.
Hazar. What is that a translation of? I don't know if I've even heard of
The Septuagint.
Oh, I haven't seen the Hazar Septuagint. I'm used to the Brenton Septuagint. Is it good?
It was supposedly done by somebody that was Orthodox, but I haven't really looked into it. I was wondering if anybody else had heard of it.
Has anyone here heard of the Azar translation of the Septuagint? No.
I stick with the Breton message.
Stick with the Breton then. All right. I've always loved
can I make a comment? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To the one who said that the early church apostatized right away, and you said rightly that that's why the church has bishops and things like that. But you could take that question a step further and just say, well, the bishops got apostatized and all went astray. That is the typical line of the Protestants. They say that all the time, and so therefore we can fast forward it to the 15th and 1600s and say that the church needed a reformation because they all went bad right from the early get-go. And that would say that all the apostles who had walked with Christ, and then the next apostles who walked with the men who walked with Christ, were liars and deceivers and in lots of error and ignorance. And so obviously, like your answer said, we have the bishops, and they were bound to the truth, The church had the great light, which was Christ, and their duty was to keep that light burning full intensity. And to say that these men of God, who are holy men of God, had apostatized and turned into liars and deceivers and cheats and thieves and robbers is pretty much an insult to the integrity of the church. And also to say that the Holy Spirit really had a hard time keeping them in line, but the Holy Spirit says that he will lead and guide the church into all truth. And so it's then becomes an attack against the Holy Spirit. And so, and then the Protestants just have basically one source to that they bank on is Bishop Lightfoot, and of the Anglican Episcopal Church, and which is one source. And so it's basically just a big slander, so that they can attack the authority of the church, its traditions, and its Eucharist. So I just want to expand on that a little bit, because that's a big argument that Protestants use, which they never can really substantiate.
Very, very true, Father. Let's see. Pseudo Saints says, I've always loved St. Roderick and the Muslims. I'm trying to move as fast as I can. Do you believe that evolution is a heresy or that it is non-dogmatic? I've heard Father Seraphim Rose and other saints call it heresy. What is your view? I think that evolution, as we understand it, contradicts the biblical narrative. I think that's the position of St. Nectarius and other fathers. I don't recognize evolution as a valid theory. Atomic Lead says definitely heretical if I give my relevant layman opinion. I think there's a lot of saints who would back you up on that, Atomic Lead. Zawa says St. Eutropius of Orange, great confessor against monophysite. I don't even know who St. Eutropius is, guys.
The heresy would probably be called Neo-Orgianism, by the way.
What do you mean?
Well, Origen sort of taught a similar teaching on with a misunderstanding of Genesis. So that's where it kind of comes from.
Well, I'm always afraid of using neo with older heresies because it becomes broad and can sometimes become even somewhat meaningless. Okay, welcome back, Vladika. So that's my concern. You have a valid point about origin there, UW. I just noting that sometimes when we do the neo thing, it can actually cause issues. Let me see. Yeah. Recklin Keys to Orthodox says, when will you debate Billy Carson? Okay, don't make me not take you seriously. Evolution requires death before the fall, that humans are cousins of broccoli and E. coli, and that Adam either wasn't the first human or his ape parents were apes, and nothing is according to his kind anymore. All of those are valid points. Recklin Keys says, what patristic commentary book can I get? There's a lot online. I mean, the commentaries of St. John Chrysostom and St. Augustine and others are online. But if you want a starter set, I would suggest the Gospel According to Blessed Theophylact is a good starter because he summarizes what their patristic commentaries are in a shorter form, and then you can get deeper in it later. So let me see. Elder Joseph, the cave dweller, called it a heresy. Artak is anathematized it as a heresy as well. That's Sava. Okay, very true. Don't believe at face value all kinds of nonsense without investigation. That stuff can come to being from itself from dust, and people used to be apes. That's St. Ambrose. From Sunrise, Evangelos, I don't like Brenton's version of the Psalms personally. The edition by St. Joe Pacai Press is exceptional. That's true. It is a little clunky. I prefer the Douay Psalms. And
are you talking about the one where they redid the Coverdale?
Oh, I don't know about that one. I've never read that.
Oh, and it has been anathematized by a couple of true Orthodox synods.
That was noted. Artak and let me see here.
Wait, who anathematized what?
Anathematized evolution.
Yeah. Okay.
Reconquista, thoughts on Seraphim Hamilton. Nice kid. That's my thoughts. HC, thank you, Father Boniface. Those Protestants heard will bring up Paul's statements about grievous wolves entering the flocks, but I've also heard this referred to Gnostics and early heretics who came later. If I'm just speeding through, guys, it's because I do try to make it a point to read every comment. And then when I have to catch up, it gets crazy. HC, I grew up in such a church where one argument is the gates of hell will not prevail. Gustavo says, please talk more about Elevation Monastery in Canada. Well, we have the abbot of Elevation Monastery on the screen, so he would be able to tell us a little bit more about the monastery itself.
What is the question?
He said, please talk more about the Elevation Monastery in Canada. I think he just wants to learn a little more about it.
Well, how can I say? Well, it's a mission monastery. I've returned from East Asia about 10 years ago. We're trying to get things off the ground. It's very slow going because we are so small and isolated. However, it is very, how can I say, difficult to reach the younger generations who are attracted to world Orthodoxy so easily because they're larger. So we are basically hidden. I do have a beautiful little jewel of a chapel here, and I do have tried to do live streams of the services I do here. We do have a couple of catechumens coming, but they have very busy lives. So I was a monastic at Jordanville for many years, and I left Jordanville with a blessing to go to East Asia to teach, to simply create the funds to establish something here. Metropolitan John has been very supportive and very kind as my spiritual father. So we are all struggling in this to be a witness, to the world, and all doing what we can. Of course, I would like to have a bigger place, but right now, this is where the Lord has placed me, and this is what He is blessing. So we continue to struggle on. Yes, I don't know what else to say. It's all very general. So,
well, I think that one thing we can say is that your channel, Elevation Monastery, does have regular services. I've seen them. They are very nice. So definitely, if you want to follow, look up Elevation Monastery on YouTube and give them a follow.
yeah.
Let me see here.
Father, I did have a question since we were talking about all things Western. What does a Western Rite typica look like?
It's not terribly different from an Eastern Rite typica. Well, it's a kind of gutted of the priest part. So you're basically talking about. We did a kind of an extensive one when I used to do that at home. So we would have done the introit, we would have done the opening collects, we would have done the readings of the Epistle and Gospel. Sometimes we would, I think, I'm trying to remember if we read the Creed. I think we did. The Our Father, and then I think there were basic closing prayers. We would read the hours before and after it. Yeah, it's really not that different from an Eastern typical. It's variable parts, and the Epistle and Gospel make up 90% of it. So 75% of it. Let me see here. Sava says, I believe the Rokana under Archbishop Andronic and Archbishop Sophrony recognize ecumenism as a heresy. I believe he means evolution as a heresy. I think the anathema was done before the Artok, before Vladika Stefan joined Rokana, so would be recognized for Rokana if it was done prior to 2018. Yeah, I think that they all recognize, they all condemn evolution as well.
I think they also call it Darwinism specifically.
Yeah, my godson Lone always says, I don't know how you could read St. Basil the Great Hexameron and think evolution isn't anything but a heresy. Yeah, that's true. I don't know how either. Sunrise says the MP supports evolution. Yes, our Death to Compromise, he's always on sometimes, and he has done a number of videos showing interviews with Kirill, even recently, talking about how he thinks evolution is not just he thinks it's real and it's wonderful. Plan. Part of the divine plan. So yeah. It's crazy, but that's kind of the world that we're living in right now, is that people are talking about people like Kirill being, based and trad pilled, and he sounds like your average liberal college professor.
Well, did you hear
richer? Anyway,
did you hear what they said about celiacs?
Oh yes, yeah. Now I'm trying to remember what their position. No, because I'm trying to remember what the position was, because it was weird, because I think they implied that the body of Christ could transmit disease.
So the Rocor MP actually released something which is kind of rare these days.
Yeah, and they were like, no, you can't say that. But then I think it was the Ukrainians or some group, Finlanders, so they decided, okay, well, in response to the Moscow thing, we're gonna have one gluten-free loaf and one regular.
They did that before them. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Our friend Kenyon Orthodoxy actually did the he made a video where translated, what Kirill says, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he also did that. That's awesome. Definitely follow that account as well, because that information is there. People always ask, that's one thing I used to get a lot more, which is people say, well, aren't there any true Orthodox channels? Well, now there's lots of them, people. So start following. It's because
that one guy in Colorado keeps pumping out all this stuff and drowning them out.
Zalota says, your blessings where in Canada is Father's hold on, there's some feedback here.
Feedback.
Okay, thank you. Zalota said, still got feedback. Someone's got feedback. Hold on. I'm gonna mute everyone to answer this real quick. Hold on. Okay. Zalota says, your blessings where in Canada is Father's monastery located? Oh, that's actually Bishop Lazar. He's actually our Canadian bishop. I'm going to unmute him now to answer that. Where in Canada is the monastery located?
Niagara Falls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Niagara Falls, the little town we are in is a 20-minute drive from the actual Niagara Falls. So we're in the very bottom of Ontario. It's about an hour's drive from Toronto. It's called the Niagara.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, and he asked for a blessing, so that's a blessing for Zalotis there. Okay, and Sava says, I have heard stories of people with severe gluten or yeast allergies not having their allergies triggered by the Eucharist. That is because there's a medical reason for that, and that is because even if we assumed the most, do you have Vladika, do you have another window open like of YouTube or anything like that?
No, someone just now sent a message, but my phone is pretty silent. Yeah, it's coming up in. Okay.
Somebody with a Samsung.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so I'm just going to say on that one, yeah, that's the amounts scientifically, even if we were complete atheists and believed it was bread and wine, they're not enough to usually trigger a person. Atomic Lead says it's part of the heavily astroturf-based Russian narrative. True. Do you think it's proof that one can not make one sick? Very true. Yeah, I almost went with Gregory because I assumed he was GOC like any other at first. A lot of people have made that mistake, but they usually escape. I'm going to unmute Father Boniface for a moment because someone said any monasteries in Florida. Well, considering you're in Florida.
Here I am, right in the middle of Lakeland.
So, there's people looking for stuff in South Florida. I'm still looking. The furthest south I found is a Roquefort V Parish in Sarasota. But it's more of a lay mission. I don't have connections in South Florida like I used to. Yep, Father Boniface is in Lakeland. That's very true. Someone in my Gorge parish. Oh, go ahead, Vladika.
Father Boniface, are you a hieromonk?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. I was confused because I have what we call the diptychs. And I just have you as priest Boniface, so I will update that to hieromonk Boniface when I pray for all of you. Okay. Thank you. I will mute my mic now.
All right. Let's see here. Someone in my former Gorge parish talked about how you could still get sick from the Eucharist. Shouldn't be surprised. They've lost the plot completely. Yeah, no, that's true about the Masons as well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Masons in a lot of places, and in World Orthodoxy, it's all over. What Orthodox Traditionalist publication? What did Roquefort MP say about gluten? It was a recent statement. Okay, it was a recent statement. I think it's on the DECR about communion and
They said there's nothing about the Eucharist that could hurt you.
Yeah.
So they would give both the body and the blood versus the MP says they would, if you requested it ahead of time, you could only receive the blood.
Mm-hmm. I've had allergy problems with wheat. And if you get the non-GMO wheat, like there's one brand called Eichhorn, and it's like one of those paleo flours. It's not cheap. Or you can get, King Arthur organic. And then the second issue is for a lot of people might be the amount of yeast. They might have a yeast allergy. So if you go low on the yeast, then you can tackle that problem because I've had to deal with it. And so I'm, of course, making my own panacea, and I used to use a low amount of yeast. I've upped it so because my allergy is not that bad at the moment. But and then as far as the blood is concerned, if you get a monastery style wine, which is naturally fermented, where they do not add yeast, it's naturally fermented, then in that case also you will lower yeast intake. And so that's what I've done, and I have had no problem. But go ahead.
I was just saying, my argument would be after the consecration, it doesn't really matter.
Well, now Sava makes some scary points about the Greek Archdiocese Church in Louisiana. I'm not going to read them all, but it's pretty awful.
Yeah.
Reconquista, have you heard Mossad agents are assigned to some parishes? No. Just eat organic bread, you'll be fine. The Orthopirate says it best. They didn't just lose the plot, they left the book on the train getting off on the wrong stop. Orthodox Traditionalist Publication says weird because Metropolitan Nicholas has been allowing Metropolitan Jonah to use gluten-free loaves for years. We raised an issue about it, but Metropolitan Nicholas allows it. So even the ROCOR MP is actually allowing this.
Well, there is a little line in there. It says you can talk to your priest privately, which I'm sure that's the workaround there. But yeah, I'm very well aware. I know what
T-Con says it correctly. He says, I thought we were receiving the body and blood of our Savior. I don't understand this. You're absolutely right.
See, a gluten-free loaf would be one that's not made with wheat, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
It would be made with rice and rice flour and other things. And so
it wouldn't be wheat bread.
That's right.
When the true Orthodox position be that it doesn't matter what bread or wine you use, well. Within reason. Yeah.
Believe it or not, that has been something that Orthodox have been stringent about for centuries. Even in the Russian Empire, Bishop Enoch had found that they had directives for churches for exactly how much barley could be allowed. It was something like 20%, but that was it. It had to be wheat. The rest of it had to be wheat. So that's a big deal because wheat is referenced in the scriptures. So you can't. It destroys the symbolism to use something else.
Right, yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at.
James
and
says,
I would say,
go ahead.
I would also say that in the United States, they have the Roundup and the GMOs that they put into the wheat, and Europe will not receive America's wheat because it's so high in the GMO content. You see, you can have bread, but if you poison it, you put additives in it, then that's a problem. You could say that you can't put the Lord to the test. If people put poisons into the wheat, then it becomes a problem. Then there are alternatives to buy pure wheat, get it untainted, and so therefore. I think that's the proper alternative. They should never use rice, and I believe that God would override it. But I know. But there's a problem that if you've got a wheat that's full of poisons in it, find the wheat that's free of the poisons. It's more expensive, but it's doable.
But if it's consecrated, then it can't hurt you, right?
You can say that, yes. However, it makes no sense to add poison to the concoction when there is an alternative to buy a pure form of the wheat.
I think we're talking past each other because we're making two different points. Reader John's point is that as the Eucharist, obviously, it's the medicine of immortality. It can't hurt you, which could occur with adulterated bread, which you won't get hurt. Father Boniface's point, however, is that most of the people who think they're suffering from either celiac disease or gluten intolerance are probably suffering from one of the over 100 byproducts that you often find in most commercial forms of bread, which is why we're having.
I got his point. I got his point. I was just reiterating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
See, that's when I would say, and I'll close with this: don't put the Lord to the test. Don't add the poison, then say consecrate it, and then it's okay. And that's just, there is an alternative. I'm done.
Yeah. Let me see here. Atomic Lead asks, does Father Boniface use Western or Eastern Rite? I assume you're Western. You're Western.
I'm
right?
Western.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
James says EU also rejects most other food products, food coloring in the U.S., certain oils, etc. Absolutely. If we had Europeans labeling restrictions alone, our diets would look radically different, and what they sell would look radically different. Seeing the go to church in New Orleans, yeah, that's Saba. It's like with the Catholics when they use wafers. That barely qualifies as bread. I don't even know what to call that stuff.
That's not even matzah.
That's not even it's like a chip. It's like a wheat chip. And I worked in a religious store way back before I converted to Orthodoxy. I once there was a thing of those that opened up the wafers, and so I ended up chowing down on it because it was a broken package and it was there in the basement. I was cleaning up, so I just started eating like a bunch of these wafers like chips, and they're not that good. They're kind of like
I hope you added some flavor.
Well, you couldn't. I was in the basement. I was working. I was cleaning in the basement. I saw this broken thing. I'm like, I have to try some. And so, I take some bites. Like, if I had some sauce, maybe, but it wouldn't have lasted. It would have just fallen apart. So I don't know.
Like you taught us, Father.
All right. Oh boy. Let me see.
Yeah.
Well, James says it's classified as cake, not bread, the bread that we sell. Interesting. Yeah, because it's got too much sugar. Almost every bread at a grocery store has some kind of seed oil in it, Atomic Lead. Buy Ezekiel bread. It's made from Old Testament ingredients, no weird oils. Ezekiel bread is interesting. The sprouted bread, the thing that I find disconcerting about it is it's always in the frozen section, and I'm always afraid to take it out. Like, I feel like it's going to go bad if I leave it out overnight. So I have no idea, but I do like it.
You can make your own too.
Yeah, that's true. Atomic Lead says that stuff is good. Saba says Ezekiel bread's good for diabetics, less carbs. That's also true. So go ahead.
No, it's just feedback.
Oh, okay. Jim eats the Ezekiel English muffins with almond butter. Yep. Oh, very good. So, okay, Reconquista says don't eat Jewish bread. Depends on how you.
Oh no, not again.
Not this again. Like what? Like, are
Can
you
I
talking
have
about like
Jewish
hollow? What? We need the Jewities.
Jewities.
All right. Monty says einkorn is the best choice for everyone, but especially those who have allergies. As Father Boniface mentioned, it's more expensive but worth buying. Okay, not sure who's got the feedback, but okay, it's gone. Sunrise says America will sell Skittles flavored bread with extra red 40. Yeah, don't tempt them.
Don't taste the rainbow.
Blackward the Acolyte says Cheweeties. That's the term. It's a term that will end 2024 is Cheweeties. But I can see the box already, and now that I've said that, I bet everyone else can too.
It's great.
Oh no!
Oh no! 20% off.
Who are you going to have holding it? What priestly garb is going to be
always on
it?
clearance?
All right. Jesus, USA bread be like blue 22, red 44. So yeah, it's unless you get your fresh bread, it's really bad. Yeah. Sava says, and that term will begin 2025. Reconquista Orthodox says, drink real sugar Coke without the high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, Mexicoke, etc. An alternate solution: don't drink Coke.
Oh, Father Boniface. Have you heard in commercial bread that they actually use human hair as a softener?
What?
Yeah. For real.
Human hair as a softener?
Yeah. It's actually an ingredient on most major breads. I was like, ooh. Actually get the hair from them.
With the McDonald's comment from last week.
Well, wasn't Guinness putting worms into their beer?
Was that real?
They had like worms that they were putting into their beer to give it some kind of substance or something. So, but people were getting upset with the politics of Guinness, so they lost a lot of business anyway. But
those are tasty
there's all kinds of weird stuff they're doing with food, man. All kinds of weird stuff.
All right, the human finger coming back in the McDonald's food, we know. Okay, we're not talking about weird things. We're talking about things that are regularly happening. Tico says some Protestants use goldfish crackers and cranberry juice. I mean, that's a tasty snack, but that's a terrible Eucharist. That's
I don't even know if that's a good snack.
I mean, I don't know. I like goldfish crackers. I do.
Yeah, but cranberry juice, like, come on.
I like cranberry juice too.
I like them separate.
Let me see. John Knox, more like Pepperidge Farms liturgy. Yeah, Orthodox those lies, blasphemy. Jonathan Britt says, I explored the world of canned sardines this nativity fast. What a dark world it is.
Anything in a can is a gamble.
No, to be fair, there are actually like fancy sardines that are actually really nicely tasty. If you get bristling sardines, those are not terrible with like if they're like the King Oscar ones, those are okay. Pomegranate juice, that's good for diabetics too. Very true.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Right. So we're in the 38th minute of the second hour. Again, this is our live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live as well as member requested video reviews. We've got, Father Boniface here, Reader John, Unseen Warfare, a special guest today, and Vladika Lazar of Elevation Monastery in Ontario. And so if you have a question, you want to make a comment, you can click the link at the top of the chat. I will be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. And once again, just in case you haven't heard it enough already, support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on GiveSendGo, or on Odyssey. If you want to do a super chat, we will put that right on the screen. We really appreciate it, and it helps keep the lights on.
And if you guys go to Niagara Falls, I don't want to hear about you not going to visit Elevation Monastery.
Exactly. Let me see here. I am not, Jonathan Britt says, I'm not brave enough, brother. Trust me, the King Oscar brand is pretty good for sardines. Sava says, I ate that stuff all the time before I lost my sense of smell. It's not that bad. I'm really sorry to hear about that loss.
It's even better with the sense of smell.
I think it's better I like the sense of smell. Reconquist Orthodox says, is it okay to eat halal food? Oh, boy. There's been a kind of back and forth in my comments section about halal food for a while now.
I have opinions.
Yeah. The simple reality is this. You should not actively seek something that is slaughtered halal. They do actually, that's usually done for lack of a better word, according to Islamic practice with a mufti. Most halal stuff, including vegetable stuff, etc., there's nothing done to it. It's just stuff added. Like occasionally they'll have an imam will even bless halal meat, even though it's being produced in exactly the same way as regular meat. So it's not actually halal either. So it's just the point is it's a joke. Zalotis is on. Welcome, Zalotis. How are you doing?
Your blessings. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Okay. Well, we're all here. We're doing things.
On the halal and the kosher stuff.
Go for it.
You hear me now?
If you're doing the sign of the cross, which you should be doing anyways when you bless your own food, then you should be good, right?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, yes. Okay, Marble King, first week of 2025.
Oh no,
Marble King when? What?
Not until we have the T-shirt.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me see here. And
Marble King. What is there a line you could do with that? I don't know.
Marble King, make 2025 great again. There you go.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, in any case, what are you? How are you feeling today, Zalotis? What's your question or thoughts?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm just in work and almost about done. Just a question about the yeast you mentioned before.
Okay.
For the bread, at least for the bread, I remember my aunt used to do yeast by her own with the Holy Cross flour. Have you ever heard about that?
I haven't heard about that specific practice, but there are natural ways to produce yeast where you don't have to use external yeast. Yeah,
exactly.
I know
that's the best. Yeah, and this was actually the best. So go ahead, Father.
We have a lady, the mother of one of my catechumens, puts the bread out for like 11 or 13 days, and the air puts the yeast into the bread, so it's made naturally.
Glory to God. It's very easy to do, and so yeah. I use yeast. I'm guilty as charged. We use bread yeast. It's not much, but we do.
Yeah,
Granted,
yeah.
we could leave it out on a windowsill, but we don't do that. We just like following rules on paper.
What if it's Manischewitz yeast?
Fleischmann's. I know. By the way, you know,
kosher yeast, the Jewish yeast.
yeah.
No, it's
There's
Jewish.
other brands out there. The when you make wine sacramentally, the yeast is in the skin of the grape.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to add any. The yeast is in the skin of the grape, and that's what I use, and I have had no problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just for information.
Yeah, there's different. Just to be fair, there are different kinds of production of sacramental wine. So a lot don't use yeast, but some do use yeast. So it's important to distinguish that because there are church wines that have been made with yeast.
And different ones use different grapes.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the secret society comment that's infiltrating the church or whatever. I've been covering it kind of on my channel a little bit, and I plan on covering it some more. But I've been reading from a paper on it. So
that's Reconquista Orthodox's question. Father, are there secret societies like Rosicrucians that are trying to destroy the church? Okay, go ahead, Unseen Warfare. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So I've been covering on my channel, and the answer to that is yes, they have, and they've been trying to for a long time. And I've been reading a paper that was on Scribed that's talking about the Greeks, but it also deals a little bit with the Russians, and it's pretty interesting. It's too lofty to sort of cover here, but yeah. If you go back to the first video I've done, I've read maybe like an hour and a half into it. So
yeah. Let me see here. John MC writes, we've never used added yeast. We've always had some of the mother dough from the previous batch, which is how you make sourdough. That's correct. So that's another way of doing it. Sojourning one says, is it wrong to use Manischewitz wine for the liturgy? I would argue it's wrong to use Manischewitz wine for anything.
Man.
And Manischewitz, like that's even a joke in Jewish communities.
I've seen a lot of Manischewitz in World Orthodoxy.
Manischewitz, and the point is, it's like that's the reason Baron Herzog, he has kosher wines, but he's a professional vintner in California, started because even Jews wanted wines that weren't terrible. Manischewitz is absolute swill. Like
that's good for cough syrup.
It's not, it matches the flavor. But church wine should be wine of the highest quality, first off. But what I've found is historic church wines in general are usually dessert wines. They have a higher sugar content. And so you'll find wines like Commandaria in Greece is very commonly used.
Oh, yeah.
Cyprus. That's in Cyprus, yes.
That's from
Commandaria is from Cyprus, yes. Greece is Mavrodaphni.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Now, Mavrodaphni, I've heard Mavrodaphni is used more. I don't like Mavrodaphni. I won't use it.
There's another kind out there too.
It's mostly for Holy Communion.
Yeah.
But the communion should be joyous, and Mavrodaphni is the opposite.
Well, if you add the Zeon, the blessed water, it's great.
It's very light. It's very light. It's
just a question for Vladika Lazarus. Is his monastery located in Welland? I didn't hear that very well. I found it in Welland. Is that the right one? The elevation of the Triumphant Cross Monastery?
Yes, in Welland. Okay. Where are you?
We are close. We are close, about an hour away.
Oh, what town?
Probably doesn't want to advertise that.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't want to say it out loud.
I'll tell you when I meet you, Vladika.
Okay,
It's gonna be soon, no worries. I'll contact you. I found your contact here online, and I'll tell you.
I don't have a phone number, and that is because the first time I created the website, I put a phone number. Within 3 days, I got a call from a woman saying, I need money for my laundry. I want you to come here and give me money.
Wow.
Well, at least she didn't ask you to do laundry.
It was a year ago in winter at 9:30 at night. I said,
Oof.
"Who are you?" And she said, "I'm in Welland South. I need money to do my laundry." And I said, no. So sorry. So I removed the phone number after 3 days, and it's just the web. It's just the email address, and I would like to be more exposed, but not to that degree. So anyway, and there are sometimes problems with the websites. I've had problems with Weebly and my web provider, but I think that's resolved now. So I struggle between being more visible, but at the same time not being too vulnerable. And so yes,
maybe.
So you can find the email address. It's triumphantcrossmonastery@gmail.com. And yes, we can continue from there. Okay, how's that sound? Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
No,
Yes,
we didn't hear you.
He asked. Okay.
Yeah. I heard. I can hear you. So it sounds great. I said. So yes, we're gonna contact through that.
Well, very good.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah, my pleasure. Okay.
All right.
Your blessings.
Yes, for a blessing. He's just.
May the Lord bless.
Let me see here. And then let's see. Death to Compromise asks, does it have to be grape wine? Yes. It cannot be anything but grape wine. This is like wheat in the bread. There's no compromise whatsoever. Dominic Lee says, Mavrodavny is good and heinously sweet. I didn't even know we could get Mavrodavny in Pennsylvania. I didn't know the stores.
Oh, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not. Atomic Lee says, is Vladika frozen? That was answered. Okay. Sunrise, very weird. Referring to the Marble King. Yes, it is very weird, but that's what the World Orthodox apocalyptists are pushing for. John MC says,
Among other things, yeah.
I lived on the Lower East Side for years. Old side painted on wall of tenement. Moken David, so thick you can cut it with a knife. I guess, yeah, it's
another good cough syrup.
Yeah, well, I can tolerate Mogan David, but I can't tolerate Manischewitz. But I personally like using local wines if I can find them, and we do have local vintners around us, so I go for that. And I generally there's a few different grape varietals that I'm a fan of. But let me see here. John MC says, we read that. Reconquista, I'm not going to answer the question on the urn, guard, or Mussolini conquered Greece. I'm just not doing this.
I guess you can't do port wine, though, because they had brandy.
Brandy, you can. This is an interesting point, because we did have a priest who swore by port wine. I will tell you why you can use it. You can use it. Brandy, in general, is made from grapes. Only flavored brandies aren't. So all of the brandies that you've ever had that are plain brandies in the U.S. have to be made from 100% grapes. I've actually emailed people with that. So you're actually inserting part of the grape back into the wine.
Yeah.
The bigger problem with port wine, however, is that when you mix it with the Xeon and the water, it begins to acquire a sour taste.
Yeah.
Not a fan. So I like port. I won't use it for communion. But I knew a priest who swore by it. God rest his soul. But memory eternal. Let me see here. Where can I find the Marble King prophecy? We've talked about it on the show.
Just type it in on YouTube.
Yeah, just type in Marble King on YouTube and you'll find stuff.
You'll go down a rabbit hole.
The return of the Marble King. Anyway, what happens if there is a grape wine shortage? Well, then you use less wine. I mean, like that's a weird question to me. I mean, it
has that ever happened before?
Yeah, I've never heard of a grape wine shortage. Grapes have existed. People would just use less wine. You use less. It's like with the that's why they had like a little bit of adulteration in the Russian bread, because they did have bread famines at time, and people would use bark bread. But you can't use bark bread in any shape or form in the liturgy. So you have to use real wheat bread and real grape wine. let me see here. What happened? You should debate the Marble King.
Tell them to come on. The link's right there.
Could you just get grapes and ferment them? You can, but if you were just to allow grapes to ferment on their own, without using any grape sugar, without using any process like raisin wines, Commanderia is a raisin wine, as is Caballo Blanco, that will produce the necessary sweetness you need. But a grape wine you produce by just fermentation with nothing else, you have to do something with it carefully, like a raisin wine. Which is what I think Father Boniface was talking about, that they just use grapes and ferment them. But I'm guessing that they probably add something to the process, like making them raisins, which would make them sweeter. But, you can do that. But by themselves, it'll produce a very weak wine of 5 to 7%. So you have to do something to get it up to that 10% level, because the wine has to be considered actual wine, so it should be between 9 and 12%.
Yeah, you at least have to make your deacon stumble.
Well, you don't drink enough to make the deacon stumble. You don't have to make them stumble.
I'm just messing, guys. Oh my goodness.
What happens if hyperinflation makes it impossible to buy grape wine? Well, then you should be investing in gold, silver, and crypto, so you have a way that you can pay for the wine, or you can establish a barter system, so on and so forth. The whole point is, if we're talking about hyperinflation, then you should really have alternate means of payment available, and that includes barter. And Tikhon F sums up Reconquista's questions very simply with "God will provide." Thank you for that.
Yes.
We really appreciate that. All right, so we are going into the 53rd minute of the second hour. I'm not sure if I'm going to go any further because I'm getting pretty tired, and also we need to keep the lights on. So, if people want to throw in some donations, I'll stay longer, but in Orthodox traditionalist publications, what if the Marble King comes back and destroys all the vineyards? Black Ortho Athlete, thank you for your support with the $10 donation. We're going to get back to that, Subdeacon. Do you believe teaching the conservatives of the official church to resist from within could over time cause an unhealthy disposition towards the bishops who are supposed to be representing Christ? I don't believe resisting from within is a good option at all. I think that it teaches an eventual complacency.
I kind of support Subdeacon's thoughts on it, or it's actual heresy.
What, the Marble King coming back and destroying all the vineyards?
No. The resisting from within.
Yeah, no, I think resisting from within is coming if it's not a heresy, it's very close to it. I tend to agree with him. It doesn't make sense to stay under heretical bishops.
Right. I would probably read up what St. Feret had to say about Dmitry Dudko. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot to say, and I would definitely recommend that. Sunrise supports the channel and says Marble King doesn't use Olight flashlights. But Sunrise, you know what we don't. You know what you don't have.
$100 donation, guys.
You don't have the NFTU flashlight that changes color all the time. That's right.
It could be here for $100.
You might get another light like this, but you won't get this light. This light is the NFTU light. So that's all I got to say.
But no DNA. Sorry, guys.
All right. Reconquista says the Marble King supposed to remove the heretical bishops. I don't know. The Marble King sounds like a Minecraft character to me.
Question.
I'm pretty sure you've also covered like a whole episode on the fight from within movement, if I'm not mistaken.
We have recently.
Yeah.
It's not really a movement. It's more like a trickle.
Yeah. Vladika Lazar, you look like you were going to say something.
Yes, I have a question as to who is in communion with the true Serbian true Orthodox Church, the monastery in Novi Stjenik in eastern Serbia. The abbess is Efrosinia.
Yeah, Efrosinia.
Yeah, were they not in communion with Roak or Roka?
No, they are in communion currently with the Rokor AA parishes under Archbishop Andronic, the Rokanot.
Okay,
and they have churches in Serbia, in Australia, and in North America.
Okay, because I have, I know a GOCK priest who was one of my students at Jordanville, and he is friends with the abbess. And I know that she comes to America about once every 2 years. I don't know if she came during the pandemic or she
Oh,
could.
she was here a week ago at least.
Oh, I have wanted to meet her for the longest time, and I know she goes to Jordanville to venerate the holy relics of Saint Feret. And
What I would
so,
suggest, Federico, if you have a Facebook, if you can look for her, she's on Facebook. Just let her know because she may still be at She was at Mountain View right now, or she was last week anyway.
okay, yes. So I greatly revere her and the story of how they came into existence, thrown out of their monastery in the middle of winter and during Great Lent, and the struggles they've had. And so I watched a lot of their videos. I was overseas at the time, and I was in contact with them. I sent them some icons at the time, and they were sending me their newsletter, but I haven't heard in a while. So I would really like to, go down there. And I was last in Jordanville. I think I was there last October at the Abbey. So we stopped in at the bookstore there on the way back, and I always, try to venerate the tomb of the saint there. So I try to avoid the people because it was my former house. So,
Okay, let me see here. That's good. I'm glad.
And she's with the Free Serbians?
She's with the Serbian True Orthodox under Archbishop Akakia. Okay. Okay, I'm skipping Marble King question from Reconquista. The Marble King cannot break the Bitcoin Codex. I'm sorry, that is impossible for a human to do. He would need to have quantum computing ability. Father, red light therapy is good. You should try it. Yeah, I guess. The World Orthodox timeline. Okay, Sunrise explains it well. The World Orthodox timeline is Marble King, World War III, Council that will condemn ecumenism, and then presumably the final judgment.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Hierodeacon Pacomius says, I've been told the monks of Jordanville are very kind people who want to come and venerate the relics of Saint Feret. Sometimes. Depends on who you are. Like, it depends on your relationship with Jordanville. Some people have a better relationship than others. Sunrise says it shouldn't be called resisting or fighting from within. It's just complaining from within most of the time. That's absolutely true. You're not actually affecting any change. Father, when will you accept the ISO 222 approved crypto XRP? No, I will never accept Ripple or anything that's derived from it because it is literally the bank's version of a garbage coin.
What about Monero?
Monero, I accept. That's a security coin. We do accept. We have a Monero account. If you have Monero, feel free to donate. We do have that. You can donate to NFTU just by going to either our description, or if you go to the NFT.net page, you can find ways to send crypto to us. Black Ortho Acolyte, with more support for the channel, says, if the priests are accepting prayer requests for those who proposed outside the church, I'd like to request prayers for my mother, Barbara. I can say a prayer for her, not in the altar, obviously, but I can't. I mean, again, if she proposed outside the church, you can pray privately for her, but you can't pray in the public prayers of the church.
You say that the Lord has mercy upon their soul.
But one thing I will say is that if there's one good thing about being an Orthodox Christian is that historically it has not been common, but sometimes the prayers of the Orthodox have pulled heterodox directly out from Hades that had a relation to them.
It doesn't hurt.
So it doesn't hurt.
There's a story about that from St. John sort of doing that, St. John Maximovich, and you could kind of find that somewhere on YouTube. I don't know.
Okay. But I'll definitely say a prayer. I'm not doing it for the money, but thank you for the help for the channel. Orthodox Traditions Publication says XRP is king. Never happening. Wicked Wally says, but what happened to Economia?
I like that one. That should be a whole new crypto.
Economia is having Litecoin. Okay, I have a Litecoin account, so please.
Mamma Mia took it and ran.
Oh boy. Yeah. Let me see here. There's a story of Pope St. Gregory helping the Emperor Trajan by his prayers, not only getting him into heaven, but ending his suffering in hell. Exactly. Reconquista, Father, can we pray Jesus? Okay, if you're not Orthodox, you can't pray anyone out of anything. So first become Orthodox, join a true Orthodox bishop, and God will
repent.
Repent, yeah. Orthodox Christians publication says you'll see. Father, I'm not even
not a believer.
That's pretty funny. Wicked Wally says, no wonder the dad jokes are a hit. I'm surrounded by fathers.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Well played. Anyway, let's see here. So, all right. Do we have any other questions coming up? Yeah, I agree. MC Chili, OTP XRP is not good. Black or the Black Light, LOL. All right, so yeah, let's continue here again. It is our live Q&A session. I guess you guys have earned an additional 27 minutes of time to continue on, and we'll just see if you have questions, comments, if you have debate challenges. This is a question more. I think I'm going to pass this over to Vladika Lazar. What WXVE asks, are there any true Orthodox parishes in Ottawa, Canada?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment. I know the GOCK does have the parishes. They might have one in Ottawa. I don't know the answer to that. I could try to find out in an instant. So
okay, well, sure.
Okay.
All right. Jeremy says, where can I find an older edition of the prologue of Ochrid? Is there a website you recommend? abebooks.com. You can find older versions of books that are for sale and sometimes cheaper than Amazon. I highly recommend using that.
What's our website?
abebooks.com.
ABE?
Yeah. And I would also recommend that most of the online versions that are programmed of the prologue of Ochrid are based on the older edition. Orthodox Traditionalist Publication. Not going to happen. I'm never taking Ripple. It is literally a control coin that was formed by banking consortia. Nah, nope. Father, you should. Yeah, Zolotus has vanished. He was like, talking about XRP. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully he comes back. Father, you should make a NFT coin. That's never happening.
He already did. It's eCoinamia.
Oh, no.
Also known as LTC.
Okay, let's see. And now give us NFT t-shirts first. Okay, well, that may be coming in the new year. Don't be surprised. Not like on New Year, just so you understand, but within the opening months of the new year. So we do have, obviously to start the new year, because next week, God willing, the show will be in 2025 Gregorian. Oh, good. Okay, Zolotas, he's still there listening. Okay, welcome. But in any case, so yeah, next month we already have the debate discussion with Father John Whiteford on True Orthodoxy versus Rokor. And that will be on the 10th. And then we have Elijah Yassi, where we'll be discussing the papacy, and that will be on the 15th of January. Wicked Wally says, NFT does sound like a crypto university, to be fair. You would not be surprised at how many crypto companies and accounts and so on and so forth think the exact same thing. I have had people add NFT's Twitter to like crypto accounts and stuff. I've heard people.
Well, they just thought it was the non-fungible token universe.
They thought it was, NFT University. And people will write me and be like, I'm willing to volunteer writing NFT articles for you. I'm like, no, I'm not, I'll make jokes about it, but it does sound like that. But to be fair, I was here before the NFTs, and at the rate NFTs are going, we will be here after the NFTs.
Like they're still NFTs.
Yeah, like they're pretty much vanishing. Reconquista says, is it okay to buy Jesus? I would never buy something called Jesus coin. That already sounds sacrilegious.
That sounds blasphemous.
Yeah, it sounds a little blasphemous. And
there's a Bitcoin group that's saying thank God for Bitcoin, and it's like really blasphemous too. You gotta be careful of that stuff.
That's pretty funny. To Reconquista, Wicked Wally has responded that would actually be economism.
Oh, yeah, we can't go that far.
Okay, hold on. Somebody's got the reverb. Okay. Okay. Let me do.
I'm sorry. There's an anathema against economism.
Yeah, we have the anathema against economism. All right, so let me see if that. Yeah, that. Okay, let's see. All right, so okay. Let's see. The closest GOCK parish is in Montreal. Nothing in Ottawa. We, the Metropolia, do not have a presence in the Ottawa area. Okay, I'm not sure who just said that, but I guess they do know. Marble King. I don't know. I feel like this might not be the Marble King. He spelled marble wrong. But in any case, all right. Well, Marble King, tell us about yourself. Okay, no, I don't know. I feel like the Marble King debate might not be happening.
Oh man,
he's not saying.
Maybe
much.
it's Marvel King, like the Marvel Universe.
No, it's Marble King, like marble.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea. The Marvel King. I don't even know who the Marvel King is.
Maybe the Marvel King is really Thanos.
Well, okay, English isn't his first language, clearly, Sunrise says possibly, but I don't think he said anything. The Marble King is a mystery to us all. But in any case, so that's let's see here, we got the private test. But in any case, so that's all right. So let's continue on and let's look for questions. And again, if you've got questions, comments, debate challenges, etc., please reach out to us and let us know. But yeah, is the Man of God book about Saint Vladika John okay to read? I think it's by Rokor. It's one of my favorite books. It's mostly a book about his early life, some details about his life as well as miracles. A lot of miracles of Saint John. I'd recommend it. Yeah,
Wasn't it before the Union too?
Yeah, it was around before the Union. So
yeah.
I don't think they've changed it. Maybe new editions.
I don't think they revised it yet.
Yeah, if you can get the whatever editions exist now, it's worth it. Let's see here. Everything all right, Vladika? It looks like you kind of saw something. No,
Might be a drone.
Okay. No problem. Let's see here. All right. So did the
They're
Pope
in New Jersey?
New Jersey with the drones. Did the Pope come out of the Stargate yet? Not to my. No, I don't know. What's wrong with newer versions of the prologue? Did they edit them? Yes, they added in new people like Paisios of Mount Athos, on and so forth. So you want to have the one that's actually translated from the one that was done by St. Nikolai Velimerich. Let's take a look here.
I think you can actually still get on Kindle too.
Yeah, you can. You can get it on Kindle, but some people like the books.
I like books, but I can't read them.
Makes sense. All right. So it looks like let me see. Do you think the Pope? No, I'm not answering that. I don't think that. No, he hasn't. He's the Pope. Not that I'm saying he's like some saintly guy, but
he did open some portals lately, so maybe that was the Stargate.
Now the portals thing, I think I know. Yeah.
Wasn't what they call holy doors or something like that?
Yeah, they're holy doors, but they call them portals, and then people instead of explaining what the portal was, they just let people think it was something weird in science fiction, which I thought was in very poor taste. Taylor Harden asks, can't you get the prologue on Lulu? I think there may be a version you can get on Lulu.
I think so.
Yeah, I'd have to check.
Look.
Give me a sec. I'll check. Give me a second.
I didn't know there was a corrupted version.
Yeah, it's the new version is corrupted.
Yeah, they had a bunch of quote unquote new saints.
All right, let's see here.
You can also get on Lulu. What is it? The Russian New Martyrs. It's like the original 1980.
Oh
yeah.
Well, let me see here. All right, so this.
What would Lulu have? Would that be that would have to be the old edition then, right? If they have it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, I think so. I think I remember seeing it, but it's been a while.
Let me see. This is a prologue from Awkward. Let me see if this was. Okay, these are very expensive. Let me see if I can find it cheaper. Hold on.
Yeah, there's some people that are running as a hustle in there too.
Well,
I mean,
the one monastery has it for $80 a book, $160 for both.
that's not too bad. They have
That's
it on
not-
They have the Saint Nikolai one for $39.
Yeah.
Wow, is this the whole thing?
For 39?
Well, I'm looking. What? Yeah, well, that's on Kindle. Now there is a leather-bound version for 129. I'm not sure. This says this can only be one volume. It can't be both of them. Let me see here.
And is it in English?
I'm glad I got the Kindle one earlier. It was cheaper than that.
No, let me see. There's the prologue 4-volume set. I don't know if that one's available. That one was not too bad. Let me see here. Yeah, you have to be careful. Just basically avoid the one that says revised and expanded.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
any other version should be fine because the other ones are all St. Nicholas. But the revised expanded version that is put out by St. Sebastian Press is
Which is the Serbians, yeah.
Yeah. Let me just
patriarchal Serbian.
Yeah, let me see something. I want to see if I can find the prologue on Abe Books.
Yeah. Those are not my favorite words, revised and expanded.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's a problem. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to have to get a little more specific. Hold on.
Oh, I'll take that back. Unless it's from Orthodox traditionalist publications.
All right, so let me see here. Prologue. And okay, so we have this is the Lazarica Press version. Actually, you can get the prologue from Awkward on Abe Books. They have let me see here. This is the Lazarica Press for 47, and then they have the volume 2 for 74, and they have various prices. Yeah, then they go up.
Wow. I've never even heard of Lazarica.
Yeah, it looks like a Canadian press. I could be wrong though.
Huh.
I don't know. Oh no, this is German. Okay. So there's a few different ways, but yeah, you can still get the Kindle edition. I don't know. Maybe it needs to be reprinted. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
I don't know what's the original copyright on it. I wonder.
Who has the copyright. If so many different publishers are publishing it, I wonder if anyone has the copyright.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
So you didn't find anything on Lulu?
I need to check Lulu. Give me a second.
Sorry, rabbit hole.
Okay, waiting for it.
Oh, so I'm not the only one where Lulu loads slowly.
No, it's slower than ever. Hold on.
I have a fast connection, but I noticed that website's slow.
Okay, let me try it. Rid. That's a calendar of saints by Father Michael Lilly. I don't know if he's.
Oh, that's Rokor MP.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah, he just took parts of it out for the calendar of daily saints.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
They have it online. One church in Australia has it.
Yeah, and they have the original one, so yeah, that's fine. That's one way of doing it. Let me see here. Yeah. Jonathan Britt says, I have the new prologue, and it's fine. You just have to skip over the Neo-Elders. It includes poetry from St. Nikolai, too, which is nice. Well, the poetry was included, I thought, in the original. But the whole point is, if you don't know which Neo-Elders are which, you could end up, commemorating, heretical people. Lulu has the rudder, too. I haven't found it, so if you have a link, hopefully you can share that. Did you see people trying to kiss the Pope's hand and him slapping the people's hand and pulling his hand away? Yes, I've seen a few cases of that. Lazarica is in England. Orthodox Traditionalist publication says, what is your opinion on Augustine's theory of righteous persecution? It's demonic. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You'd have to refer to the text. People have a lot to say about St. Augustine. And then when you ask them, where did you find this idea? It never comes from St. Augustine. It's from some academic scholar who has an axe to grind.
Usually a revisionist scholar. Exactly.
Prologue of Oakland 2-volume hardcover boxed edition, red covers with white semi-cursive title on cover, good edition or revised. Believe that's revised.
Revised one, I think.
What I've learned from being in academia when I used to be is that there's scholars and then there's quote unquote scholars.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing about St. Augustine is...
What's the Lotus?
Yeah. I have a little time, and I would like to ask something. Actually, I would like to make a comment about the whole stream today is about Freemasons, as I see, and we have mentioned at some point the Antiochians. Just a personal experience that I had to go to a memorial in an Antiochian church, and this is actually a very big city in the area anyway. So, and there were a lot of people. What I saw there, it was the Orthodox, what we so-called Orthodox, went for Holy Communion first. And then after them, all the non-Orthodox doing their cross opposite way. I don't know if they were Syrians or if they were Catholics or whatever. They were having Holy Communion. Both of the priests that were serving in this church, they knew them all. So when I saw that, I couldn't handle it anymore. I just left the church. I went out. I went to the parking lot. Masonic symbols behind the Lexus. And these Lexus belong to one of the priests, probably.
Wow.
So, and I'm saying that, like, I've seen, when I saw that, I didn't go again in this church. But I'm really curious, if that happened again, I'll go and I get a video. I'll get a video and I'll post it.
Well, so if they have any Antiochian Western Rite people there, they do allow them to sign the wrong way.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yes, but those were not Western rites. Definitely not Western rites. Okay. So, and my head came straight the Balamont union they had with the Monophysites. So from one side we have the union with the Monophysites, the Balamont Council, 1991 and 1993, how they had. And on the other hand, we have the Ravenna Council, 2008, the union with the Pope. And what bothers them is just us, the old calendarists. The Zealotes, like how much more purposes, right? So this is something I would like to point it to a priest or whatever, if we ever have any chance to have one of the Antiochian priests in the stream. I would like to make this question. What's your opinion about Freemasons? Because I think at some point there was an announcement from the Patriarch of Antiochia that we are accepting that.
It's a little loud to hear anyone.
Somebody has some real bad feedback.
What? Okay. What was the question?
I had trouble hearing it. Something about
the question was what's their opinion about Masons, Freemasons, and also what's their opinion about giving Holy Communion to the non-Orthodox people and judging us, the old calendarists, for breaking down what? You know what I mean?
This is what you asked that priest.
Yeah, if we ever have any stream with any Antiochian priest, I would like to do this question.
Yeah, if they, I don't think any of them are ever going to show up here, though. All right, so let me
well,
see
they stand on sandy ground there. So.
Right. Thoughts on the movie Man of God? I highly recommend it. I have been recommending it. Freemasons are notorious for ruining institutions from the inside that now outside act in secret, thus they have an advantage. Yes, they do, but to some degree the Freemasons themselves are collapsing. By the way, what are your thoughts on alternative medicine like frequency? A doctor was able to regrow teeth using frequency. I'm not against alternative medicine. I've never heard anything like that, but I generally am skeptical of those claims. Yes, feedback echo was garbling things. Many assume when they hear the word Freemason, assume it's a conspiracy and ignore the topic altogether, even though the information can be found on Wikipedia. I'm absolutely not doing that. The entire first half of this show the entire first 30 minutes of the show was devoted to discussing things related to the Masons. So to imply that is stupid. No offense. WXVC, what jurisdiction synods do you see as outside of the church? Well, all the ecumenist ones, and Gregory, Colorado. Because but the renovationists and the ecumenists are outside the church.
I remember last week we were dealing a lot with medicine, and I wanted to make this one point about the Masons. You know, George Washington was a Mason, and so his doctor was Benjamin Rush, and Benjamin Rush was a Mason, and George Washington died from Rush's bloodletting. So one Mason gave another the real treatment.
Beware of bloodletting.
Wow. The bloodletting.
So so Rush was known to be a quack, and so that was our first president's doctor.
Was he a Jewish doctor?
No. Oh no.
Sorry.
No, he wasn't. He was a Freemason. Benjamin Rush.
I know.
That's about that.
People just like to see the sweat.
Yeah. Sorry. Can I say something about the Freemasons? So, as we know, the church actually denied the Freemasons at the year 1936, I think, with the Synod of Vatopedi Monastery in Mount Athos. So this was the synod where St. Nicholas Velimirovich actually was kind of the masterhead of the synod, and he was telling all the details about what really Freemasons are. So I would say something a little challenging, but it's not my completely official opinion. My opinion is what the church says. I can find a little, excuse, let's say, to those who were Masons before that council, because it was not judged by the church yet as a sin, right? It was not canonized as a sin. I can find it, but again, they are not innocent for what they did to the church, and mostly for their participation of the 1920s, announcement of the Patriarchate of Constantinople. I think you know which one I'm referring to.
Right, yeah.
And everything else they did for the creation, for creating of the ecumenism and all those things. They are not innocent at all.
You shall know them by their fruits.
Yeah, well, I wasn't actually trying to downplay what they did. I was answering Gladatus Bob's point that he's trying to make the point that people just assume that everything Masonic is a conspiracy, but that the truth is that the information is out there. My point is, I'm not denying that the information is out there, and I certainly wouldn't take it to the other extreme and say that the Masons are innocent. They're not. They're occultists that caused massive problems within the church, and if one is a Mason, they have to repent before being received and baptized, etc.
I think they should have known before the council. It's kind of like before Arianism was condemned. I think a lot of people knew that it was already a heresy, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
So the
example. Oh, sorry. Thanks. The example, Father Boniface, you just mentioned about George Washington. It's similar to the first governor of Greece, Ioannis Kapodislias, who actually ordered all those Masonic lodges to shut down. And a little later, he died. They killed him.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that having grown up Protestant and living amongst the culture of America. God bless, God bless America, and God's grace was upon America. All that propaganda. But when you realize it made, George Washington was a Mason, Thomas Jefferson was a God hater, Franklin was a Rosicrucian, Samuel Adams was a
Jefferson had his
humanist.
own Bible, didn't he?
Yeah, he had.
The Jefferson Bible. He ripped out a
So
bunch of stuff.
all these founding fathers were enemies of Christ.
Yeah.
Really. And so therefore, what they founded was a country based on rebellion against God, on Masonic ideals, on humanistic ideals. And so therefore, when you really look at it, God's judgment is against America, is on America for its apostasy. And so so the narrative continues till today.
Well, when I hear Freemason, I automatically swap out the word occultist for Freemason. So that it kind of makes it a lot more clear what we're dealing with.
Yeah, they definitely hold to premillennialism. That's kind of very close to what ecumenism is.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find some good documents on this from, I think it's Orthodox Australia. It talks about premillennialism and the early movement of ecumenism. So,
you have what is it? Vladimir Moss does his article on Benjamin Disraeli, who was a Jew who helped promote Zionism in England, and therefore you have C.I. Schofield jumping on that bandwagon and introducing that new heresy into America. I went to Philadelphia College of Bible, which was founded by Schofield and that crowd, and so there you have all the Zionism mixed in with that, which works well. Actually, I heard Benjamin Netanyahu speak at Philadelphia College of Bible in 1980.
Well, that's where you get like the descendants of them, like John Hagee. That's where they combine like the Zionism and the idea of that rapture and all that stuff. It kind of started with Schofield, didn't it?
Yes, it did. With dispensationalism, splitting up.
Saying the Jews were necessary to usher in the rapture, right?
Well, you got the 7 year years of the reign of Antichrist and the setting up of the temple, and so then the gathering together of Israel to be a new nation, to restore the nation, and then all the world's going to come against them, and
so it's really the birth of Christian like Zionism, right?
Yeah, what's interesting is that who's the Bannon? What's his first name? Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
He is quoted. You can find the quote that he says, "That's what I am. I am a Christian Zionist."
Okay.
And so,
now just to get the topic back on track, I do see somebody asking about the Loyal Order of Moose. Again, that's a secret society. Again, it is not. I don't know what its exact beliefs are, but I don't know why you seem to want to join a fraternity with a secret oath and secret prayers and secret rituals.
Which usually means a cult.
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense. Ted Bruckner is talking to Jonathan Britt. I'm not going to disagree with that. That the compromise says confession of orthodoxy is incompatible with Christ. Jonathan Britt was helping out there, and I put up the other Netanyahu in our old parish, John MC. I've been putting up. All right, we are in the 31st minute of the third hour. With that, I am going to call it a night. I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you to everyone, especially to Vladika Lazar, our guest, to Father Boniface, to Reader John, to Unseen Warfare, and to Zelotes, who was here most of the time but dropped off, and to whoever was the Marble King. We at NFT need your help. Support us by donating at NFT.net on GiveSend or on Odyssey. Remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for all the support for NFTU. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the name of the Lord, Master bless.
May the Lord bless all of you with a pleasant dreams and his bountiful graces.
Amen.
No, no.
Thank you. Amen.
Have a
Amen.
good night.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everyone.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Later, guys.